Okay, so Laura, you were just saying about this week. You've been on the very low calorie protocol for 16 days, going through the mind body method. Have you been weighing yourself?
I did weigh myself yesterday.
Okay, but overall you're weighing like once a week?
No, this is probably like the first time that I've weighed myself. And,
okay. But it really took quite a bit of work. You know, if I go back and look at just your first couple of weeks, you really had some sugar addiction withdrawal. Yep. And you were, you know, you didn't cheat, but I could tell by your daily logs that you were, you know, overeating the crackers or using the stevia way too much, trying to perpetuate that sweet.
Yep.
Anyways, so this week, you really had a breakthrough.
I did, yes.
So, but basically you had a bunch of family over.
Yep. And
you were hosting, and you were on the boat, on the lake,
yep.
And
I was making the family pizzas and taco bake and things, and you know, and I was fine. I actually felt bad making that for them because I felt like I was
enabling them.
I was, and I wanted to say no. Now, are you really hungry? You know, and
there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yes, and I'm going to be working on my family with that.
I want you to. What was it about you? You really changed your observation. Normally, you would have felt punished or deprived. In fact, we talked about this last week because you felt punished and deprived because of Memorial Weekend.
Yep.
And I basically sat you down.
Yes.
And like kind of verbally said, you got to get out of this mind frame, otherwise you're wasting your money, right?
Right.
And for some reason it worked.
It did.
You listened to me.
I did. I listened to you, and I thought a lot about what you said, and you know, and it was like a light switch went on.
Well, what we talked about too is to pretend like you're not on the protocol and observe what you would do when this is over. So to get your head off of this, I'm on this restriction so I can lose weight.
Right.
Which is, okay, now pretend like you're not on this. Live in reality and observe it, and think about what you would want to choose. And you did it. And how did that turn out?
You know, I kind of went away from feeling like, oh, I have to lose this weight, and you know, it kind of started out to be like that, and then after, you know, talking with you and spending time with you, I've now come to realize it's not about how I look, it's about how I feel and about the health of my body, and I don't have the achy joints, and I don't feel like I'm, you know, holding all this water. And
so physically, you do feel significantly better on this very low calorie protocol.
Yes, I do. And
did you practice before we started?
I did, yes.
And you felt better during practice?
I practiced before I came here. I actually was gifted the book, which was amazing because somebody else that had come here was so excited. She bought 10 of the books and handed them out to people in her life that she thought could benefit from this. So I read the book, and then I kind of practiced on my own and kind of tried to get familiar with the hunger scale.
And you felt better then too, right?
I did. Yep. I felt better then. So I practiced and kind of logged and paid attention to that before I did my loading days.
So now, 16 days into the very low calorie protocol, you were just saying about your view of our culture has changed.
It has.
Because before you were deprived because you couldn't participate. What happened when you started observing our culture?
You know, it's kind of ticked me off because I feel maybe more victimized that I bought into that culture and that society of different weight loss tools and techniques and books and recipe books and cookbooks and this, and it's really...
And none of them ever expose the culture, do they?
No.
They say it's either your food or your body. It's never all of this justification.
Yeah, and you know, trainers used to tell me that, you know, being healthy and fit was like a three-legged stool. You know, you needed to exercise, you needed to do cardio, you needed to lift weights, and you needed to eat right, and those were the three things. But you know what, they never really touched on the whole mind piece of it. It really truly is, like you said, a mind body, you know.
Starts with the mind.
It does.
Then
it does. And if you can change the mind, the things with the body is just going to come naturally, it seems to me.
How does it feel to actually be aware of that?
it feels empowering and just, I'm overjoyed, and now I'm anxious to share it with the rest of my family. I still have a few friends that, if I kind of mention it to them, they get a little bit negative, but I know it's because they haven't heard the right things. Yeah. It hasn't been the mind-body protocol.
No, it's the HCG diet.
It is. Yeah, it is. And so now I feel like, I'm just going to be proof to them in the decisions I make.
Not in the way you look. It's actually your behavior that they'll notice is very unique. That you're not upset because you're not stuffing your face.
Right.
That you actually don't want to.
No, I don't.
When I talked about this to start, and you heard the words, it was a fantasy.
Yeah.
Do you get it now?
Yeah, I do.
I know, and it's so simple. This isn't rocket science.
No.
It's not rocket science. It's like...
It isn't. I'm not eating anybody else's packaged foods, and I love that because I've been down that path before. I can go to the store and buy my own groceries and is planning ahead.
So, I'm really excited for you because I think once you kind of have that moment of realness with our culture and observing it and detaching yourself from it and then looking at the diet industry and how enabling, wouldn't you agree it's super enabling? How many times have you heard you can exercise it off?
What?
How healthy does that sound? And how has that changed your view of exercise?
Well, now I want to exercise because I want to be outside enjoying the nice weather. I want to use it as family time. I love the way that it feels, not because I'm doing it for weight loss. I'm doing it because it feels good. I like, the adrenaline.
Doesn't it feel like it has a little more permanence to it now?
It does. It does.
Oh my God, I'm so excited you're getting this. And it isn't, I don't know. It's something that you have to want so bad that you're willing to submit yourself to reality check. Yep. That's not hard. That's not easy to do, Lori, and you really did kind of submit yourself, and wouldn't you agree it took some humility to really see it?
It did, and to open up, and then to admit. Nobody wants to ever admit that they have, like I have an addiction. Nobody wants to admit they have an addiction, but I think the first part in conquering that is admitting that you have an addiction, and mine was to sugar and to overeating and
dieting. Don't forget.
Oh yeah,
you have to have the diet to have penance from the...
Oh yeah, no, dieting as well. And then there was a time where I was like, I'm giving up on dieting, but didn't...
Like the diets don't work, right?
Exactly.
Now do you get that all diets work? Actually, all of them work. The problem is that in order for it to ever have anything lasting,
right,
you have to change the foundational problems.
Yep. And I could get any diet to work, and I could lose weight because I can be up for a challenge. But this was the biggest challenge because it was me against me. It wasn't me against somebody's program.
If I had been focusing on your weight this whole time, do you think you would have gotten any of this?
No.
Because taking away the weight has forced you to really look at the actual problem.
Yep, and so when I do, when I do have cravings, because I still will think, oh, that sounds really good, but then I kind of think, like you said, how am I feeling, or what am I missing, or am I bored, or what, and so turn my attention to something else, or,
Yeah, well, if you're not hungry, why is it an option?
Exactly, because just because that's the way it's been, and then I start to think like I know how that's going to taste.
Oh, absolutely, and it's delightful, and then the cocaine center of the brain says, well, own up to it, let's just go ahead and eat it, you're entitled to it. Then there's the culture, then there's the need for it, and then there's the I've earned it, and you have that conversation of convincing yourself why you need it, which gives that food way too much power.
Right.
And then you actually eat it, and then what happens? Then there's guilt, shame, and that's what precedes the binge.
Yes.
So it's actually very predictable.
Yeah.
And
last
and
week,
you're not crazy.
No.
And that's the other thing, isn't it? Like once you actually pull out and look at it, it's like, no, you're not crazy. This is a product of the diet industry and how they've approached this problem that we have culturally with food.
Yeah.
And the food industry perpetuates it as well.
Yep.
On both sides of the gluttony and the diet. The prepackaged foods, I'm sorry.
Right.
That's enabling too.
Yeah. Well, and even the things like the whole Diet Coke thing, you know, because I was using that when I thought, no, I'm being good. I'm not eating cookies and stuff. But then I was fulfilling that sweet tooth that I had or that craving with the Diet Coke.
It's still dysfunctional, isn't it?
It is. And now, you know, I've gone away from it and I don't miss it. I actually feel like, oh, that doesn't seem like it tastes very good, you know.
Yeah. Well, right now we're really cleansing the palate. We're cleansing the head. We're trying to get rid of all these old ways of thinking, and you're seeing them for as they are, and it makes it easier to let them go, and you see it that way.
Yes.
And you're going to get to really test your true desire in the second phase or P3 and moving on, which is exciting. So right now, once you kind of make that kind of flip of the switch, you should notice that it gets easier and easier every week. That you're like, oh, this is just... Because you're emotionally detaching. Remember when I said the goal is that you are lessening the desire to eat dysfunctionally.
Yes.
That as week to week, you're increasing the desire to eat functionally. So if that is the case, this protocol gets like almost too easy.
Right. I feel like it's getting to that point.
Where the first 3 weeks it got harder.
Yes.
Until you made that snap.
Yep.
I know. Oh my God, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
So, thank you for sharing this.
You're welcome.
It's important that other people hear. Some people just aren't ready to let it go. They're not, and they'll fight it, and they get pissed off that we don't, at least I'm not an enabler. I'm not going to do it. So, you can hate me all you want. Thanks.